coming on the Bin Mucker podcast today.
Pleasure to be here, man.
There we go. All set up with the technology. So, first topic off the bat. What do you think about kind of the future as in terms of everything becoming tokenized? Do you think that's going to be the case, or do you think we'll trend more towards a world that is kind of in this fiat system, and when the debt collapse happen, will?
Man, if the real decision makers let us, I think it would. It benefits the consumer so evidently, and like for a lot of industries, it benefits the shopkeepers or drivers or game producers, song producers, etc. So yeah, I think a lot of industries are definitely built to democratize distribution and consumption through tokenization.
Completely agree, and I love how you say if the decision maker will let us. And let me ask, do you think in 2024 there's any chance that both presidential candidates in the U.S. support Bitcoin? I feel like the opportunity cost to not support Bitcoin, and I mean, Web3 encompasses a whole lot more, like all these other cryptocurrencies, but Bitcoin specifically, do you think the president coming up in the election will be a pro-Bitcoin?
Oh man, I mean, we'll have to see. I haven't actually, put too much thought into that one, what's going to actually happen surrounding that in the next election. I mean, we have 3 years to go until then, or 2 more, I guess now. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think I don't know what Joey B's stance on it is. I feel like he's not. I don't know if either side will support it, if I'm being honest. And I think there's a solid chance of that being the case. But I feel like one thought that's always been in the back of my mind is that there should be and there could be a third-party candidate. Maybe the could is a bit of a stretch, but there definitely has been a lot of popularity surrounding these outsider kind of politicians. I think we'll see more of those kind of politicians, running that kind of strong, like crypto-friendly kind of stance or position, like during their campaigns to try to garner some votes that way. I could definitely see some people making noise that way.
Agreed. I don't agree with everything Andrew Yang does, but I love his idea for the Forward Party and like having a ring-tiered voting system. Yeah. So, I feel like so many people won't vote for a third-party candidate because they're afraid their vote won't be counted if they do.
Right.
So having a system where it's like, all right, third-party candidate who I truly want, my party, the party I don't want. Not that I feel like we should have so many more than parties than just 2, but I feel like that would be a much better system, at least that way, much more fair, honest.
The more likely scenario is that like these kind of guys, much like Bernie Sanders, get pulled into one of the 2 and just run as a Democrat or Republican, and ultimately their roots may lay in some kind of independent or third party stance or affiliation, but I think they're starting to garner some more popularity. I mean, you could even throw Donald Trump in that category.
Yeah, I mean, shit, what's to say we don't get a Biden-Trump rematch?
Dude,
that
would be wild if that happened, but that feels like a real like Bikram yoga stretch to quote Kobe.
Right. Dude, it does, but I mean, at the same time, like, some of the stuff going on, I thought we were so far away from it. It's been a crazy times recently.
Yeah, no, agreed, man. Yeah, it's been absolutely insane to see the mainstream adoption of crypto.
Yeah, that has been exciting. I feel like too, it's hard to grasp how early we are. I always like to use the example of if you were, and no one bought Bitcoin the day it came out, but if like say theoretically you bought 1 Bitcoin the day it came out and you just held and you couldn't sell to you, it had been 18 years and you were going to give it to your kid or whatever, you'd still have like what? 5 something, a little over 5 years left to you could give that big. And I mean, who knows where it'll be then?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's a large part of the reason why I'm a crypto investor now. I mean, for I have some positions in the bigger coins, but I think the smaller ones also make some noise and gain the respect that or some close level of respect that Bitcoin and Ethereum have today.
Yeah, well, I mean, like we were talking about with the tokenized world. I feel like you're so right to say that it'll help the consumer so much more, and it'll just be a more fair, honest system, like showing in real time what the price of goods are. And I mean, I feel like with inflation now, if you look at a chart, like you see people like Kathy Woods and other brilliant people saying, "Oh, deflation is going to happen because of technology and stuff," and like maybe to a degree. But if you look at like healthcare, used cars, like real estate, like all those assets are up and to the right, and technology, yeah, it's trending down, like software trends, but like we need a much more fair, open, honest market. We need currency that you can't just print more of. If you give any human the ability to print money, and then you really don't hold them liable if shit hits the fan. Like,
yeah, yeah, and I think part of the reason that like the whole decentralization, like, or Web3 is gonna take a little bit of a while to develop fully is because I just don't think the population is really quite ready for it yet. Like, it's gonna remove a lot of jobs to think if it was like implemented like the next couple of years or something like that. It would phase out a lot of like people working for those middlemen, those like transaction processors and uh, third party exchanges or
right, I think
marketplaces.
the vast majority of people, probably like 80%, would somewhere be in some of the category of like they go to Google, they just expect it to work. They enter something and like it's gonna. I need a result.
Yeah,
I don't think what's happening. How am I being tracked? Like, I feel like AI, or if it's like all of our feeds, unless you use ad blockers and trackers, are also personalized and targeted and filtered directly to us.
yeah, yeah, totally. No, the direction from like just going from having these kind of ancient structures in our current economy from banking and financial institutions. Uh, it's going to be interesting, man. I don't know how it really gets done because there's not only the question of like the population being ready and the realization of it all, but will they even allow it? It's like another question that's running in parallel.
Yeah, I hope they don't. I mean, I guess some countries have already released it, but I really hope they don't try and push a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, like literally Bitcoin's evil brother. People say it's like a stretch, but like you could see a world if the USA, for example, released a central bank digital currency where it's like, all right, you now have to deal with a life insurance provider, and if they decide you're at risk or something, you have heart disease, you can't buy candy, you can't buy cigarettes, you can't buy stuff that might, and just like the. It's crazy to think, like you're saying, with the old time laws, like from various securities laws are from the 30s, 40s, like just very not at all like modern times, not at all for a tokenized world, and same with humans too. I mean, we're not that a couple hundred year, more than like thousands of years, but it really wasn't that long ago. We were hunting, gathering. Now in society, you have to think very long term, but as animals, we're programmed to think in the short term, what's going to benefit me now. But now we've had food. I was telling you earlier, I like the show Succession because it's like that hierarchy of needs, and these people have had everything: food, shelter. So it's like a whole other set of problems. You see, like the wealthy have versus someone who is thinking about their next meal. Like,
and some of those like ancient like kind of institutions and structures that I was referring to are like how humans are conducting commerce and communicating with each other like all across the globe, and trying to replace that with decentralized business structures and marketplaces is that's a real gradual shift. So the adoption timeline is like really cloudy to me, and it's totally dependent on like where we decide to go in a like societal direction, I guess. Like if we decide to adopt this kind of method of processing our own transactions and a more direct method of communication and transacting.
Yeah, I feel like people don't understand like magic internet money. They don't understand how easy it is with Bitcoin to send value to anyone else who's using the Bitcoin network. And one thing, like recently, I feel like I've become a Bitcoin maximalist, if you will. But at the same time, I believe it'll be a multi-chain world. People are going to use different things, and it's a tough thing because like the decentralization aspect so important, and I think Bitcoin is truly decentralized. Some of these other chains that are more centralized but still decentralized, but are going to be so useful for other things, and like
dude, this whole NFT thing is like something that I'm still kind of trying to learn. I still a little bit of a mystery. I'm starting to garner some kind of a feel for what they're meant to be used for in the future. But that's just another like burgeoning marketplace or like industry like right alongside cryptocurrencies and DeFi.
Absolutely. And for any listener who doesn't know, like fungible means something that you can interchange easily. Like a $5 bill is fungible with another $5 bill, while something non-fungible is something that you couldn't just swap out, like your iPhone, non-fungible. And I don't really understand. Like I know there's ERC, there's different versions of Ethereum for a non-fungible token and a fungible token. Don't really understand how the technology works in the back end, but I understand that obviously non-fungible tokens mean that you can't just interchange them with any other token.
Right. Yeah, and I think like my very preliminary understanding of what they're supposed to be, aside from digital artwork, is like digital access tokens, kind of like access to games or assets within games or experiences. Even I think like
I saw Tyron Woodley was selling an NFT experience, and like there were all these things like you get a tattoo with him, you could sit ringside and fight. Obviously, I don't know who bought that NFT, but I saw it was going for over 5 ETH or something.
I didn't even know about that. But that sounds sick.
Bro, I didn't even know that fight was happening, a rematch, and then I saw the highlight. And
what happened now? I don't know if I'm a big fan of Ethereum, but
obviously hindsight's 20/20. What are you gonna do? Yeah, but the use cases for NFTs, like tickets, it just seems like endless. Earn to play while you're playing video games. It's such an exciting, I like. Obviously, both of us growing up love video games. Too. Yeah, think about like how much time we spent playing video games as a kid. You're telling me we can monetize that now? It's great to see two college athletes can now make money off their name. Like. Mm-hmm. It's about time that the world got more fair, honest,
agreed,
open. Stop these laws that just do not relate to modern times with the internet and with blockchain. Like to your point, who knows how this stuff's going to be adopted? But the best thing you can do is get the information out there, let people decide. And I think it's amazing how many people are skeptical of Bitcoin till they use it and realize, holy shit, I can send value to anyone, permissionless. Without any government, without any third party. Like if I spin up my own node, I don't have to rely on a third party to send and receive value to anyone else who's using that same network.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah, if I just had the spur of the moment, like as a birthday gift, wanted to send some money to somebody, who wouldn't have to have any kind of app on my phone or except for the wallet, I guess. But like, just that's exactly what you're talking about. And I'm excited to see if that becomes the new norm. That's like what really keeps me investing in crypto in the end is actually using it. Like that's what's different about it than like investing in stocks and stuff like that, is that like this is something that you actually personally utilize.
Yeah.
So
dude, it's exciting. I feel like I use the Coinbase debit card and USDC all the time, and it's literally like all I do is take from Wells Fargo to buy USDC on Coinbase. Mm-hmm. There's no fee. It's going to be like 1-to-1. And then every time I spend that Coinbase debit card with USDC on it, United States dollar coin issued by Circle on the Ethereum network, I get 4% back in stellar lumens, which is like cash back in crypto. And then over time, I typically just transfer it into Bitcoin, as you should with all coin. Well, actually, I say that, but at the same time, I think there are altcoins out there that are awesome. Like
obligatory of not financial advice.
Not financial advice, of course.
Yeah, but no, partially agreed though. Like you do want to have your shit stapled to some already adopted steady coin, which is in this case really just two of them.
Yeah,
but I mean, same principle kind of applies to stocks in that sense. Is like I've always been told. You want to have a good chunk of your holdings in some SPY or like some kind of steady ETFs. So it is a smart idea. I would agree.
Yeah, I always like. Sometimes I'm tempted to think like, I should just go all in on Bitcoin, but at the same time, I think you're so right. It's good. Like Apple's probably my biggest holding tech stock wise, and then like my 401ks and the Vanguard ETF just because I want something kind of safe. Like
totally,
bonds are fucking dead at this point. Fuck bonds. It's hard to say, but like unless it's a Bitcoin bond from El Salvador, I don't want it. But it's enjoyable thing about investing. I wish they taught it in school is like the young and like it seems like at this point I hate it, but with inflation, like I don't want a universal basic income, but we got to start teaching everyone about finances.
Game
Like,
is rigged, man. They want you to be asleep.
man, it is the fact that we have the most complicated tax code in the world here in the United States.
Oh, well, I mean, just across the board, we're the most litigious country in the world by a long shot. Shit is different,
bro. Nancy Pelosi is on, like the person who asked her, "Do you think Congress members should be allowed to trade individual stocks?" And she says, "Well, it's a free market." It's like, well, if it is a free market, why did you print 40% of the money supply? I understand the Federal Reserve,
as usual, just a cringeworthy take from her. So yeah, no surprise there, really. But yeah, it's just stupid if you ask me. Like something that you directly, influence how they operate or how profits are being made in a lot of senses. Like, yeah, no, they obviously. I mean, maybe they can, but if there was some kind of way of like checking their, access or
yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, my grandfather was in town recently. He was the mayor of a small town, and he was saying like how he had a friend who like went to Congress and like, or I think some high up position of power. Like the guy was such a good guy, and you just get in that circle and like that, just the wealth generating opportunities those people experience there, it like corrupts you, and it's one of these like you got to play the game or you're going to be thrown to the wolves. And it's sad and unfortunate. Like they want to beef up the IRS, but it's like why don't you just tell the American people what we owe? And they already like audit high. They have people tasked with checking the high net worth individuals' finances, if you will. It's like
capital gains and whatnot.
Yeah, and now they're trying to go after. They say it's like they're going to tax the rich, but in reality, they're just going to be going after the lower middle class people who they're not even going to generate enough revenue and taxes to make up for the salary of all the people they want to hire.
Yeah. I mean, shit has to change. That's really all it is.
That's why we need decentralized, permissionless.
Yep. Absolutely.
Magic internet money.
Yeah. We do, man. We need Doge. We need Shiba, Cum Rocket, all of them.
Yeah. We need Bitcoin when you got Squid Get, Token, Cum Rocket, S-Dog, all the rug pulls, baby. Some of the memes that come like obviously I feel so bad for anyone to get scammed or rug pulled, but at the same time, like, do your own research, take the time to learn.
The game you're playing.
And literally, and there's nothing wrong with like if you are it's like if you want to add a tiny amount, like you can go to Vegas and gamble. It's like you can do the same thing. Like, and sometimes if your only downside is like, well, if I throw $10 and it's a 10 bagger, now I have $100. If I lose the $10, it's like as long as I get 1 to 10 of those right, I'm chilling. So just like
I feel like part of it is also just like I 110x on shit or something like that. Like you want to be able to say that like I hit 1000x on one of these.
Yeah, I saw a meme and it was like this guy talking to his buddy. He's like, yeah, I'm up like 40% of my investment portfolio this year. I knew this like crypto was like a great investment. I told you guys, and the buddy's like, "Oh yeah, nice. How much you invest?" The guy's like $200.
Dude, I've had that conversation so many times, bro. Like people say, like I don't know, be like having in-depth conversations about crypto and like which ones they like, which ones I like. It's just like literally, I have like $100 in ADA or something like that, and I'm just like, wait, what? What do you expect to happen? Like $100 to turn into 150 in 3 years?
Yeah. Sitting there rolling into Bitcoin later, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I could be wrong. Who knows?
So I did a little research before this, and obviously, for those who don't know, we used to work together. But I saw the LinkedIn. You edit, helped edit film for football at UMass Amherst. So I'm curious, how'd you get into kind of that? And like, that's awesome that you did that. What made you want to?
Dude, I literally just one summer was scouring the job postings, like trying to plan ahead for once, and like I successfully did it. For once, I never do that, but like I had found that job posting on like the main UMass Amherst like job board, and I just said like, why the hell not? It's like part time, and it's like interesting. I like sports, just involved with football, so I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna apply for it, and got the job. Ended up just doing all their practices starting in August and ended in December. Got to film some cool games. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
traveled with the team down to Ole Miss and got to experience the game inside of one of those like SEC stadiums, like huge ass college
Right.
schools,
That's awesome.
football schools, and like, dude, it was like more lit than a like pro football game. Like they had all their former pro alumni or alumnus, and then um, they had like Dak Prescott at the end, and the stadium was just like shaking, and like it was like insanely loud. It was that was wicked cool. Flying with them down to that game was probably the highlight.
Yeah, that's not unreal. Was this wait, Ole Miss or Mississippi State?
Oh, Mississippi State. Did I say Ole Miss? Yeah,
I was just
Mississippi
feeling
State.
you said Dak, and I was
Dude,
like,
those two are like interchangeable in my mind. Almost like I'm a loose like NCAA fan, but
dude, the SEC though, you're right. Like I've been to some Florida games, like it's nuts down there. I mean, it's literally NFL level, like in too many Jags games. And
bro, I think like not SEC, but like there's two like I think Michigan and Penn State's stadiums are the biggest stadiums in North America. Like, college games are no joke.
damn, I did not know that.
Yeah, man, pretty wild. I sometimes wish I went to one of those schools. Like that was one of my main criterion for applying to schools in high school, but ended up going to just UMass Amherst, which was a big hockey school, it turned out. But
Yeah, they won the national championship
barely,
recently, didn't they?
not a hockey guy, unfortunately. Hate to say.
No,
Sorry to all the hockey fans.
I know what you mean. And it's crazy too, though. Like the hockey stadium that some of these NESCAC schools up here are doing, like just the hockey and I guess it's all over, but especially New England, some sick stadiums.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, some of the schools like just in the SEC, ACC, like Florida
Yeah.
State, Florida, any state, like some of they did seem like a great time. But at the same time, like I feel I'm glad I went to a school that was like a little more mellow because it like. I feel like I just would have been an absolute degenerate if I had those temptations around me.
Yeah.
My whole college experience.
As a UMass graduate, can confirm. Right out there, yeah. No, that's cool. I love visiting different stadiums like out of state. That's like whenever I'm in some different state, I want to visit their baseball stadium. Because I grew up playing baseball. Already been to like a good handful, but that's my ultimate white dad dream.
I feel like one of the best things to do is to just travel and like have experiences and see new. Like that's the best way to spend money. That's one thing too I appreciate about Bitcoin. It's like I feel like I've learned so much about money itself, history, philosophy, like technology. There's so many different things, and I feel like the more I learn about it, the more I'm like, yeah, maybe I should use all my money and like. I'm not obviously on a Bitcoin standard because I have a lot of fiat liabilities. I can't pay my rent in Bitcoin or my car payment. Or I feel like it's like changing the way I think about money, and I would much rather invest my money in experiences and being able to hang with family and like good wine and food, obviously, and stop spending on like consumer bullshit. And not that it's all like, don't get me wrong, I like Nike shoes and Lululemon running shorts, but
I have the Yeezys too.
You gotta have the newest Yeezys, but at the same time, I feel like really like I'm most content when I spend my money on traveling and experiences and.
Oh, 100%. That's like the kind of gifts I like prefer to receive, and I like try to give people that. Like I'll straight up just give like I don't know restaurant gift cards or like some kind of I prefer the experiences for sure. Yeah, that's like how my parents raised me. Honestly, it's like we never really lived in like some big house or anything like that, but we traveled like a fuck ton, dude. Like every summer we were like flying somewhere. Most of the time, or like half the time, it was like Switzerland, which is like reflecting on that, dude. Like I was insanely lucky that I got to go to Switzerland that many times and like see like travel Europe that much. So absolutely, like need to travel, dude. We need to travel, man. Like I'm trying to travel with the homies more.
Agreed.
Done so much with the family already. Like,
hey, I'm going to Montana. We'll talk after this podcast in February. You're trying to come out potentially. Think about skiing in Big Sky. Could be. My stepfather's got a ranch out there. Could be.
Yeah, we can talk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So next question, for those who don't know, Elliot and I both used to be SDRs, so sales development reps, a lot of cold calling, picking up, sadness. Sales are never ever stop selling. And so I'm curious to know, now that you've moved on to a closing position, an account executive, someone who's doing the full business cycle, calling people, running the Zoom meeting, selling them on why they could use the product. I'm curious, how has that transition been for you, and what do you enjoy more, like doing the full cycle thing?
Dude, it's been, about to wrap up my first quarter, so it's just been like a blur, honestly. Like, I can't believe I'm actually even saying that. Like, I've wrapped up a whole quarter, but no, it's been a total adjustment. I mean, as an SDR, you kind of have this like run and gun kind of attitude. Like, you got to just hit the volume more and like just 100%. Attract interest, like the surface level interest.
Yep.
And as an AE, like, you need to not only be able to do that, but like you need to maintain communication with all of those people who end up needing to take a further look at whatever it is that you're presenting. But no, it's been sweet learning about different companies and like how they're, because the thing about it is that like we're in SaaS and like selling software, so it's interesting to see how so many companies in different verticals and different doing different things using what you're selling basically. And to see that from the angle of the AE, like you see people who had no interest to begin with, and like you ended up kind of just starting a conversation, maintaining that conversation, and they end up buying. Or sometimes we'll have people who are like clamoring for a solution and just like hear what you're saying, and are just like, yeah, we need to at least see the full version of what you're talking about. So no, it's extremely fulfilling. I've loved the transition to AE so far, because that was like one thing I felt like I was missing to like wrap up. But like as an SDR, I was always starting the conversations, never following up and like ending the conversation. So yeah, it's been exciting and like very fun to own that kind of role.
Yeah, it's interesting thinking about, like, obviously as an SDR, you're trying to get the volume up, trying to just get as many people, spark that interest, but kind of once you hand it off, like you sit in on the meeting, you take notes, but we just watched an episode of Curb, and like like the person is on the phone writing down the notes. It's like, as an SDR, after that first meeting, it's like kind of out of my hands. I typically, unless the person's gone silent, and I might give them another ring to try and schedule another meeting.
Yep.
It's so it is kind of cool to think about, like, and then really gauging, right, like who's as an AE, I'm sure you don't want to just set as an SDR, you get paid to set meetings. As an AE, it's like you don't want to waste your time if the person might actually not have some potential, but also you can still, if you pique someone's interest, and like there are people who are worth the conversation even if they're not immediately interested, engaging that, like playing it's no easy task.
No, it's really not, dude. Like you're from like a cold outbound perspective, you're trying to like essentially turn a stranger into somebody who's like pulling money out of their pocket, like a lot of money out of not just their pocket, but like other people's pockets, in a sense, like taking your company's money dollar and like giving it to us for a service. Like that's a huge shift in like a relationship with somebody, like pretty much from complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Like,
dude, software is such an interesting thing to itself, because if you think about it, like Salesforce, SalesLoft, Outreach, like all of these businesses have like a good bit of people on the payroll getting like so many softwares out there that are crucial to people's jobs. It's just nuts that like there's a product, obviously, like the interface online that you use, but it's nuts how much data gets tracked on various people, and then just the game that is trying to like find people to use your software over another software. And for the most part, honestly, like some softwares are better than others, but they're so similar. And as the buyer and as the seller, kind of just playing that whole game, and
sometimes I'm just like think I know just about everything about my product and like what it's good against other products with, and then you find out that like the other product is like exactly like the thing that you said it couldn't, that yours could, and it's just like, what the hell am I supposed to do now? It's just like, all right, I guess I'll pretend that I don't know that.
That's why the acronym is
just not a thing. Like, that's probably the right way to go about it. Yeah, sales is a fun game, man. It's funny. You interact with a lot of different people.
It is. You never know what you're gonna hear on a cold call.
Yeah. No, you don't. You don't at all.
Shout out to Corbett, bro. Some of those videos he posts of like that people send him cold calls and he does the reenactment. Too good.
Way too accurate too. Like with like the, I don't know, like just like internal relationships that you have that are just like way like it's way too good with this. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, today I had a call. Someone was like, "Oh, is this one of those spam calls?" I was like, "No, man. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just."
Some people like act like you're one of those like telemarketers who like call people at dinner time. Like,
Don't call my fucking.
Just like literally like scum of the earth. Which like I don't know. Maybe I am that, but even I think that like those telemarketers are like B2C like cold callers are just fucking insane people.
Yeah.
I just would not. I would rather go homeless than do that. Like not to like slight anything against the homeless, but like. Dude, that type of shit is just torturous, bro.
Oh,
B2B is just different worlds.
Yeah, dude, door-to-door salesman too. Like, it's crazy the different kinds of selling, and that's what I tell myself is like, it's like I literally just cold call people. Like, what's the worst that could happen? High upside, schedule me to get paid. Low downside, someone tells me to F off, they hang up on me. They tell me I'm a spam caller. On to the next person.
Rest assured, it's like fucking idiot on the other side, dude. You just don't have to give a shit about.
Dude, one time I got a call.
More people at that company you can call too. So.
I don't know, like I don't know what I've put my number like seamless ad and some of these other things, and like I just got way too many calls recently, so I had to like literally had to silence all numbers because I was getting way too many random calls. But I remember like I feel like the best lesson I ever learned in sales is I got like I don't know if it was a spam call or not, but like some woman who's trying to sell me a car warranty or something, and I just went off on the phone. Like that's so and like right after I hung up, I was like, what is wrong with me? Like I literally cold call people for a living, but in that moment, like, I was having a shit day and like was just so upset. And it was a lesson like, yeah, who gives a shit what anyone says to me on the phone? Like so much more reflection of what that person's going through in their day. And for all I know, they could also be a cold call. Like I call other salespeople, you know what I mean? Like
now that we know what it's like on the other side, like of the phone,
yeah,
consumer's perspective, like yeah. Sometimes I'll have fun with like somebody cold calling me or doing cold outreach to me. Like if it's really bad, I'll just like it depends on the situation, but I'll sometimes just give like honest feedback. It's like, listen, this is why I had no interest in what you had to say.
Honestly, helps them. I mean, like it's probably beneficial to them.
Yeah, just like don't use this language or like Sometimes I did have like a cold caller like from I don't know like he was clearly foreign like calling from some other like country most likely, and I literally had him on the phone for like 35 minutes and like what devolved from like it was ridiculous. I forgot what the conversation went like, but it was so ridiculous and like I devolved to like using like Donald Trump soundboard with him and just like he hung up and called us back like after we instructed him to do so for whatever reason, and we just couldn't believe that he was still like in it enough to call us back.
That's crazy too what you can get people to do over a phone call, Humans are incredible creatures.
That's what I mean, like when you like wouldn't believe some of the shit that we hear on the phone as SDRs like or AEs and the like, but like some people just talk to you for like a half hour or like just say some bizarre shit to you, and like it's funny like making those kind of conversations at that rate. Like you try to have 300 per week.
Yeah,
I mean obviously you're not gonna have 300 conversations per week unless you like
300 dials and then
you're hoping that every dial is a conversation, right? So
true. Salesman,
dude, crazy life we live, man.
So now back to my more favorite topic, like the blockchain, Web3, innovating, giving users back their data. What would you say your favorite cryptocurrency is and why?
I feel like you know the answer to this, but for the people,
I don't know if it's Algorand or Chain. What is it, Link Marine or
you
the
carbon
neutral crypto?
Slot that in the Algorand bucket. That would have to be my favorite DeFi network for sure. Love Algorand, homegrown too, right in our backyard at MIT with Silvio Macaulay. Shout out.
Facts.
the fucking man. Like, who else would you ever want developing your blockchain for you? And you know what? That's what El Salvador said when they developed their national crypto infrastructure.
Like with the Chiba wallet and
Yeah,
no shit.
that's right, dude. Yeah. I'm surprised you know the name of the wallet. You know that's like built on Algorand.
I thought it was like, I knew it was like a KYC, know your customer wallet. But I knew the government had like, but I didn't realize like it's a Bitcoin wallet, right? Lightning Network wallet.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize it was built
The
on
way people actually like interact with each other and like facilitate transactions is like built right on Algorand's network.
No shit.
Yeah. Absolutely wild news that I like. That came out like somewhat recently. I didn't know about that. I mean, I knew in some vague idea that like Algorand was going to be involved in building El Salvador's crypto infrastructure, but they literally are the ones who built the app for the country.
Nice.
So another reason to bullish.
Dude,
bullish.
I was watching a documentary too that was talking about how Bitcoin mining actually leads people to innovate and find green energy sources to mine Bitcoin. Because like you need those specific ASIC miners that literally only hash a function to try and mine Bitcoin, and you want to find the cheapest energy as possible. So the fact like you can monetize volcano energy or extra methane flaring, like
Yeah.
in Iceland, geothermal. There's so many different things, and typically the risk, the capital, the investment it would require to build out the infrastructure to monetize these various sources of energy that would just be wasted otherwise. Bitcoin miners can kind of almost forego, nothing's foregone risk, but they can eliminate a big majority of this risk due to the fact that once they plug in those ASIC miners to that green energy, they know they're going to be generating Bitcoin once they get it up and running by plugging it to the internet, and then they can build out things that can also help their grid and do so, because they know that as they build out this green energy, they're going to be fine. They can monetize it with the ASIC miners and use it for all these other purposes. So like the FUD that's spread in the mainstream media, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt spread by the mainstream media is just like sickening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they're obviously trying to make a villain out of it for no reason. Like it's unregulated. Like drug dealers are going to use it. It's pretty ridiculous.
Cash is like the number one. Not that I want to get rid of cash. Like I like cash much better than the electronic QSIPs.
For at least a while, it's probably going to operate in conjunction with cash.
It was going to be a point where like your Apple Wallet is literally, it's got Bitcoin, USD, all these different stablecoin USDC.
Yeah. What I'm wondering is like if the existing like card systems and banking systems just partner with cryptos and just like try to rebrand completely and just ride the wave.
Bro, I saw a tweet today. I want to say that Visa was like Web3 is the future. Cryptocurrencies are like, I think they made an announcement or something saying how like blockchain is the future. And I mean, all these companies, like the opportunity cost to not embrace these things is just too big. It's like the internet 2.0, like different, but like
why not be the first to do that? Like I feel like you would just like win over a bunch of customers from other services, your competitors, but what I imagine would happen is just like everybody kind of, I imagine they're all like talking like right now to blockchains.
Bro, JP Morgan, like Goldman, all of them were hiring blockchain engineers, blockchain analysts, like trying to figure out. And you think like bonds are all, not all, like the vast majority are yielding negative nominal returns, meaning with inflation at 6.8%, you have to beat 6.8% if you want to have a positive nominal return. So, it's like, it's not a foregone conclusion. A lot of stuff can happen, but it just seems like when you take the time to learn about Bitcoin and really dig deep into it, very few people are like, yeah, this probably isn't it. Like I would prefer a central bank digital currency where the government can create money whenever it deems necessary, take money whenever it deems necessary, see everyone's bank account.
Yeah, and like that kind of goes back to how like I think maybe like society isn't quite ready to like take full ownership of their own like life savings, or like I don't know if somebody would try to operate with their entire life savings in one wallet, but
That's a really good point. I never thought about it that way. Like people, like a lot of people have pensions or 401ks. And I never really thought about it like that way. Like as kind of like for a lot of people, that is kind of their reserve. They don't even worry about it. Like, and a lot of those things are, of course, invested in bonds. So they're essentially holding the bag. So that's why I don't think the Fed is evil per se, because they could not print money. The temptation is too great to print money. I don't mean to cut you up, but it's just like, it's crazy. It's such a good point. Like people aren't ready to have, you really got to understand Bitcoin to be like, I don't even keep all my life savings. I have most of my savings allocated to Bitcoin, but I don't keep all of it because it's like, who knows, hackers or what, like, unless you're very, very careful at Harvard, take all these steps to make sure your Bitcoin is secure. It's like, it goes back to the
it's not quite easy to use right now.
Yeah.
It's not
and these companies like Visa that you're talking about, those are like 80%, like the vast majority of people they just want it to work, right? So there's going to be the Visas, the Coinbases, the Binances, the Geminis that just help people custody it and they use it that way and, hands off. And then there's going to be like the ones who really understand it, who self-custody, who don't use the same wallet twice or the same wallet address twice, who take those extra precautions. But it is going to be interesting to see how it becomes adopted. But we need these institutions, like if we want to see like just a crazy high number in Bitcoin become a global reserve currency, inevitably we're going to need a lot of intermediaries. There's going to be regulation, whether or not we want it.
Yeah, we're still waiting on like all this shit to be built out. Still, I feel like which means like we're still super early. I feel like in that the whole system is still like trying to be built out. It's more than just sending money to one other person and there's a million different use cases that are being built out right now. I feel that are just going to take years to like get used to and figure out which ones are the best and which ones kind of win this race.
Yeah, and then like I'm just like, obviously no one knows what's going to happen, but like it would be so cool to see a world where like you could go to like a Uniswap like exchange and I could trade in my car for someone's house and like the value, and then also like some Bitcoin on top of that to equal out or whatever. You just see a world where it's like the possibilities are endless, almost in a sense with blockchain, and it would be so great to give open source it, give as much honesty and insight and input from the general population into it, and that's why coding. So it's going to be crazy how important coding is for future generations. And if they're not going to teach us about finance, the least they can do in the U.S. and everywhere in the world.
That's pretty much the solution to that, like job economy being like marginalized. Deflationary. Like shifting to the like decentralized system is going to require a lot more people knowing how to code and like process their own transactions and own like entire ownership of like everything from transacting money to like consuming music and hailing rides and like doing other like kind of corporate supply chain functions and logistics are also like being targeted by blockchain companies.
Yeah, there's a great book called The Inevitable by Kevin Kelly, and he talks about how like he could see a world where people literally have like a node in their apartment and they don't own anything and they just like tell the node what they want. So in the morning it's like, node, I need a suit today. Pops up a suit. They throw it back to the node at the end of the day. I need a meal, like, and the node, it's like a fucking Amazon, or God knows who, probably Amazon if we ever get to this point. And the thing just like pops up whatever you need. And people really don't, it's like Black Mirror type shit where, you just like your whole freaking house is just digital signage. It's just like a screen, everything.
Yeah, I was thinking like Blade Runner, that assistant, like that type of shit. That would be sweet. Yeah. What was that book called? I want to check that out.
The Inevitable. It's like the inevitable 12 things technology will change. It's called The Inevitable by Kevin Kelly, and then there's like 12 technological forces or something that will change the world. Yeah. Really good book though. He's a good author.
Yeah. That's sweet.
So I like to end the podcast by allowing you to ask me a question about anything, be super deep, personal, or something as simple as like, what's your favorite ice cream? And I'll let you think about it for a second. But my question for you would be, what is the, because Christmas season, obviously, Christmas Saturday, I think it's this Saturday, right?
Yeah, it is.
What is the best gift to receive, and what is the best thing to gift?
Let's see. Best thing to receive, dude. I would say a trip. Like we were just kind of alluding right back to what we were talking about. I know, but like, I think I would have arrived at that answer without us even talking about it earlier. Like I really think like giving somebody a trip is like what else is there that's better? Like a flight to like fucking like Spain or some shit. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Nah, yeah. And the best thing to give somebody. Well, I think that would be the best thing to give. The best thing to give me, best thing that I could receive would be
some algorithm.
A large quantity of algorithm would be great. Yeah, I would say a nice sports car. Yeah, driving a fucking beater out there.
Hell yeah. If crypto, if Bitcoin ever hits, say 10 million, I'll buy you a Hellcat.
Let's go. Appreciate
Mark
it.
if it ever does.
I've had my eye on that Hellcat for a while, for sure.
Brother, the reports of people wrecking them off the lot because they just didn't realize how much horsepower it has. I can't even talk shit there because I probably would have done the same if given the opportunity.
Yeah, no. I would spend like some private sessions on the track. Shoot, a question for you. I would say like moving into 2022, what kind of professional moves are you trying to make? Maybe not even dropping any specifics if you don't want to, but like what are you trying to achieve next year?
That's a great question, and I'd say honestly, just orange pill as many friends, family members, coworkers as I possibly can. Extend like this podcast. And I was a film and media major, honestly, because like I had to decide, and I was like, well, what do I like doing? I like watching Netflix. Boom, film and media major. But like, I think nowadays anyone can use media, publish on YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, Facebook. There's Instagram. There's so many platforms that you can like spread your message, and if you build a big enough following, monetize yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I just advocate for as much open-mindedness and self-sovereignty, and learn about Bitcoin. And like I said, I think it'll be a multi-chain world, but I think Bitcoin is truly like the thing that leads us to that path when Bitcoin becomes a global reserve currency. And then you can use all these other chains for various things. Like NFTs are the big thing right now, but I mean, who knows what it's going to be. But yeah, I just say orange pill as many people as possible. Get them to learn about Bitcoin. That's one thing I've been trying to like be better about, telling people to first learn about Bitcoin, then buy Bitcoin, rather than going buy Bitcoin, then learn about it, because it's a volatile asset, and it kind of sucks. Like over Thanksgiving, I was like telling all my family to buy, and a lot of people, not a huge amount, but like some people bought it, and obviously, and I'm telling like just buy more and hold. That's my. But at the same time, like I think telling people to learn about it is the way to go, because once they do, it's so much easier to stomach a drawdown. It's almost like, oh great, now I get more sats for cheap,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you just invested and you haven't taken the time to learn and you see it drop 10%, it's like, and then you panic. So it's like the worst thing you can do.
Yeah. I've had to do it. We've all had to do it at some point.
yeah. Hey, but we learn, hodl from here on out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, bro.
But,
That's what we're doing with Algorithm, man.
Yeah. Pleasure. Appreciate you coming on the bit.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. You have to come back.
Absolutely. Pause this, stop recording. Alright, guys, grab a couple more sips of this.